guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time stopping by, my name is Fola, and in this channel I create content around data analysis, data science. I talk about Excel, Power BI, Python, and everything that has to do with data analysis. So if this is something that interests you, kindly do well to subscribe, like my videos, share so that other people can benefit from it. Also, don't forget to click on the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. So today we'll be talking about predicting future values using forecast sheets in Excel. Forecast sheet is useful if you have historical time-based data and want to predict future trends or values so you can make well-informed decisions. Now, in historical data, you need to have a date column and then values for those dates or the periods that you want to create a forecast for. In creating this, your date needs to be consistent and be of the same format. So for example, in this data, I have my dates, I have my figures recorded every first of every month from 2022 up until 1st of October 2023. Because if you have it in other form, let's say I have this since 1st of October and then I have 5th of October, 5th of 1st of August rather, and then I have 5th of October, I had 8th of March. That way, you may not be able to create the forecast successfully because your your dates are not consistent. So the first thing you need to note when you want to use this tool in Excel is that your date has to be consistent and of the same format. So let's dive in practically and see this in action. So once you have your data ready in this format, you come to the data tab here and then you go onto forecast sheet under the forecast toolkit. Once you click on the forecast sheet, it brings up this for you. Okay. And this will create the forecast. So the blue line shows the chart for the figures that we already have. That's from the 1st of August 2022 up until the 1st of October 2023. And then the thick orange line in the middle is our forecast for the period I want to forecast for, which I have named here. Or let me go back and show us something in my records. So I have data from 1st of October, 1st of August 2022 up until 1st of October 2023. I then want to forecast my sales value because I am an entrepreneur. I sell body care items. So these are my sales for each of this month. So at the end of July 2022, I made a sales of this. As at the 1st of October, which is the end of August now, my total sales was this in that order. Okay. So I want to predict my sales figures for 1st of November 2023 up until 1st of June 2024. So for the next 8 months. Okay. So the next thing you do is click anywhere on your data and click on Control A so that you can select your data range. And then you go to your forecast sheet. So like I explained earlier, the blue ones are the figures or the data we already have. The thick orange line is my forecast for the next 8 months. And then the thin lines are my confidence bound. I'll explain that in just a moment. So if you look here, it's asking where Excel is asking you where you want the forecast to end. So I want it to end on the 1st of June 2024. So you click on the calendar icon and then I scroll down to June 2024 and I click on 1st of June 2024. Okay. And then if you click on these options here, if you click on this arrow, it opens up a list of options for you that you can manually edit. So here it's Excel is asking when I want the forecast to start. You can actually start from anywhere. I have figures for 1st of October and I want to forecast from 1st of November. I can either leave it at 1st of October or I change to 1st of November. So I'll leave it at 1st of November. And then here is confidence interval. Now, this is a statistical technique that helps us to determine our margin of error, basically. So because there is always some uncertainty associated with prediction, confidence interval helps us to account for the margin of error, like I mentioned before. And for example, a 95% confidence interval, for instance, means that if you repeat your prediction process many times, 95% of the time, your result will fall within the range, the earlier predicted range. For example, let's say I predicted my sales for 1st of November to be $2,700 or £2,700. If I repeat the experiment many times, 95% of the time, my prediction will fall within that 2,700 range. I hope you understand what I mean here. So instead of just saying the forecasted value is 2,700, I could say 95%, I could say I'm 95% confident that the sales for 1st of November will fall between 2,500 and 2,900, for example. This will give you this will give you a better idea of the range of possible outcomes and the level of certainty associated with your prediction. So for this one, I'll leave the confidence interval at 95%. You can change it to whatever figure you want. You can also read about confidence interval and the confidence bound so you understand what this is all about. Okay. And then the missing value here, the missing points, few missing points using this option here, I mean, it's telling you how you want the missing data to be filled. That's if you have any missing data in your, if you have any missing records in your data. Ideally, before you do this, you want to clean your data, ensure that you have your missing data, you handle missing data, handle blanks, handle duplicates and things like that. So before you do this, ideally, you would want to have your data clean. So for this, I do not have any missing data. So I'll leave these other options as they are. And the only thing I have changed here is just the forecast end date. And like I said, I'll leave every other thing as it is. And then I can go ahead and click on before I click on create, let me explain what this um, lower bound and the upper bound are. We talked about confidence interval. So instead of have saying explicitly saying this is my predicted value, you can say your prediction is between the upper bound and the lower bound range. So most of the time, because you have chosen a 95% confidence interval, so 95% of the time, your prediction will be between these two ranges, between the upper bound and the lower bound. I hope you understand. And also, again, if you look at the top here, you have two forms of charts that you can make use of. You have a line chart and you also have a column chart. So if you do not like the line chart, you can toggle here and change to the column chart if you prefer to have it in the column chart. I prefer to have mine in the line chart, so I will toggle back to have it on the line chart. Before we go on, another thing I would like to call your attention to here is the seasonality here. So this helps us to determine if our data exhibit any form of seasonal pattern. For example, whether there's a particular period of time where sales are high and then a particular period of time when you have low sales. So if you leave it on detect automatically, Excel will help you to detect the trend, seasonal trend in your data. But if you put it on set manually, you can indicate the number of points in a recurring season pattern, meaning that you can indicate the particular period when the seasonality trend begins. Okay. Um, okay, so once you have the type of chart you would want the forecast to be on, whether the line chart or the column chart, you go ahead and click on create. So Excel will create a new worksheet for you with your initial historical data and your forecasted data. It will also give you the chart, which it has created for the forecast. Okay, so let's look at the data and see what Excel has created for us. So if you look here, we had our data, our records from 1st of August 2022 up until the 1st of October 2022. But because we mentioned that we wanted the forecast to start from 1st of October, you remember that when we're looking at the parameters. So it also forecasted figures for that period for us, and then went ahead to forecast or predict the other months that we wanted it to forecast for. So if you look here, we have two, aside the forecast, we have two additional columns, which is the lower confidence bound and the upper confidence bound. I remember when we talked about confidence interval, we said that it will give a range because our prediction is not always 100% right. So it will give a range of prediction. So 95% of the time, your prediction will be about this. But if there's any deviation, the lower bound or the lower range will be this figure here, and the upper bound will be this figure here. That's if there's any deviation from the actual prediction. Okay. So that's it about this training. You may also want to ask, just before I go, you may want to know how is this useful, in what are the use cases or what are the scenarios where you may want to forecast. So the forecast sheet in Excel can be useful in various scenarios, such as sales prediction or forecast if you're a salesperson or an entrepreneur. You may want to forecast your sales for the next period, next 2 months, next 3 months, or next quarter. Also, for inventory planning, you can anticipate demand to optimize inventory levels. Also, if you're a financial analyst, you can also use it for your financial forecasting by projecting future revenues, expenses, and things like that. Just before I go again, another thing that just came to mind when we're talking about the date, I mentioned that your date needs to be in a consistent format, right? So for this, you'll notice I have my data first of every month. You don't have to use first of every month for your data, but like I said, it has to be consistent. Whatever format or period you want to use has to be in a consistent manner. If we look at this, for example, it's the same data, the same records, but I have it in quarters. So let's try to perform forecast for this and see what we get. So if you come on here, you do Control A to select your data range, and then you click on forecast sheet. Now you can see that we are getting a different screen from what we got earlier on. And this is telling us that it cannot create a forecast because of the following reasons. Now it's saying a forecast can be created because the data you selected contains timelines and value series that aren't the same size. So for this reason, because we have a date period in quarters, the quarters do not contain exactly the same number of days. For example, quarter one, some months end in 28 days, February, and then we have some months that end in 30 days. We have some in 31 days. So if you have it in data, it is not consistent. If you have it first of every month or a consistent period of time, then it will be able to create the forecast. I just felt I should call your attention to it in case you get an error like that when you are trying it out. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you've been able to find it useful. If you like the content, kindly do well to give it a like, share with your friends so that the YouTube algorithm can also recommend to other people. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts about this. Let me know how you feel about this. Thank you and have a good evening.